Hello guys, welcome to the channel Math Start How To. Today we will learn how to solve a quadratic equation by using formula. There are multiple ways of solving a quadratic equation like factoring, using a graph or completing a square. And we can even use a formula to solve the quadratic equation. So in this video, we'll focus on how to solve quadratic equation by using a formula. You can see in the screen here, I have written the formula. The formula is negative b plus minus square root of b square minus 4ac over 2a. Now, in order to solve quadratic equation, maybe first thing is we want to know what is a quadratic equation. And then next thing is we want to know what do these a, b, c stand for. So let me give you an example to explain this. Let's go to the next page. Oops, let's not go to the next page, new page. Let's go to this next page where I have already set an example for us to work on. So you can see in the top, we have y square minus 34y plus 225 equals to 0. This is an equation because we have this equal to sign. And this is a quadratic equation because here the variable, the largest power the variable is raised to is 2. So the variable here is y. You can see like y is the variable. In some other cases, you can have x or g or a or b or any variable. Now, if you look at the powers of this variable, in the first term, you have the power of y as 2. In the second term, you have the power of y as 1. Here is nothing means you can think there is 1. In the third term, there is no y at all. So there, that means the value or the exponent of y can be assumed to be 0. So just as a side note, 225, this is equal to 225 y raised to the power 0. We all know that anything raised to power 0 is equal to 1. So this will just give us 225. So right now, even though it looks like there is no y, there is actually y and it has been raised to power 0. Now, if you compare all the powers of those y or the exponents of those y, here the exponent of y is 0, here the exponent of y is 1, here the exponent of y is 2. So out of 0, 1 and 2, 2 is the largest number. So this is a quadratic equation or equation of degree 2. So that's the basic idea of how you can identify an equation. And after identifying it as an equation, what is its degree? And the degree gives it name. Like if the degree is 1, it is a linear equation. If the degree is 2, it is a quadratic equation. And if the degree is 3, you can call it a cubic equation and so on. So in this case, let's identify things. So variable is y. We just identified that. Now, quadratic term is the entire term that contains this degree 2. So in this case, this y square is our quadratic term. Now your linear term is entire this thing. Linear is where the variable has power 1. And do not forget the sign. So negative 34y. And then the constant term is the last one, which does not have any variable. So in this case, this is 225. So now what are A, B, and C? So A is coefficient of quadratic term. Oops. I think I'm going out of the writing area. So what I mean here is the coefficient of quadratic term, and the coefficient is the constant number that is in front. There is nothing means it is 1. So A equals 1. So you just look at the coefficient of this constant term. Now B is the coefficient of the linear term. So for the linear term, the coefficient is negative 34. And C is the constant term in itself. So it's a positive 225. So now if you write it in a formula, so our variable is what? Variable is y. So we get y equals negative from the formula, and B is negative 34. So you will have negative 34 because there are two minus signs. I'm using this parentheses, and then there is this plus minus square root. So B square is negative 34 squared minus 4a is 1 and c is 225, and you go down to the denominator, it is 2 times a is 1. So this is your formula. This is your setting to solve the quadratic equation by using the formula. So in the next page, we'll actually solve this and see what are the values of y. Okay, I think I forgot to mention this in the beginning. Solving any equation means finding the values of the variables. So whenever anyone says solve this equation, what you are trying to do is you look at the variable, what is the variable x, y, z, w, a, and then you do some math to find the value of the variable. So in this case, we are trying to find out what are the values of y. And another thing, usually in quadratic equation, we get two values, two answers. And if it is of only one answer, the same answer is repeated twice. We will see this in detail in coming examples. For now, let's just solve this equation. So let's go to the new page where I have all these values. So again, writing it in the formula, y equals negative 34 plus minus b square is negative 34 square minus 4 is 1. This is something we have already written in the previous page. But since this is a new page, I'm writing it again over to a. Oops, a is 1. So we know that a is 1. We can write a as 1. We don't need to write to a. There is this minus. So if you simplify this, negative times negative is a positive 34 plus minus and 34 square. So what is 34 square? Let me use the calculator. 34 times 34 is a 1156. Now I'm realizing that I should have done these calculations before to save time. So you just multiply 34 with 34 and you get this. Now 4 times the 225 is something I think I know, which should be 225 times 2 is a 450. It should be 900. Okay. And then 2 times 1 is a 2. Now 34 plus minus 1156 minus 900 is 256. Divide by 2. And if you think of the square root of 256, it is 16 over 2. Now what you do is from here you branch out as two different solutions. So take plus sign. This gives us 34 plus 16 over 2, which is 50 over 2, which is 25. Then if you take negative sign, we get 34 minus 16 over 2. So 34 minus 16 is 14 minus 6 is 8. 2 is 1. So 18 over 2, that is 9. So what did we get is in the end, therefore, y has two values, y equals 25 and 9. These are the two values y can take. And you can always check your answer also. In order to check the answer, what you will do is you will go back to the original equation, this one, y square minus 34y plus 225, and you will put y as 25, y as 25, and you will solve. And if you'll get 0, that means 25 is a correct answer. And then you can do the same thing with 9 as well. So you put 9 here, 9 square is 81, minus 34 times 9 should be what, 306. So yeah, 81 minus 306 should be 225, negative 225, that will go to 0. That means your answer would be correct. So this is how we solve a quadratic equation by using, let's not go to a new page, by using quadratic formula. The only problem with this that I have seen that many students face is they don't memorize this formula. While some instructors allow them to write notes and then or give them this formula themselves, some instructors just want the students to memorize it. So I would say memorize it. Negative b plus minus root under b square minus 4ac over 2a, and solve any quadratic equation. All right, this was how we solve a quadratic equation by using formula. In another video, I'll solve this same quadratic equation by using factorization method. And in another video, I'll solve the same equation by using completing square method. I'll not do this graphically. Yeah, so please expect 2 more videos on this same equation. And thank you for watching this video until the end. I hope you learned something. And if you have any question, concerns, or comments, please feel free to comment on the section below. Thank you for watching this video towards the until the end. Thank you.